Hey there, I'm Joe Carter. If you've ever popped the hood and thought, where do I even start? You're in good company. Around here, we take the mystery out of car repair, one fix at a time. Whether you're a beginner or just looking to sharpen your skills, there's something here for you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're into learning without the headaches. All right, that's enough from me. Let's get into
Diesel
it.
engine reasons why the engine runs on diesel fuel, reduced compression in one of the cylinders. It drags on the move. In this case it is so unimportant that sometimes it stalls. It practically does not affect the start. Malfunction of the injector. High pressure fuel pump, HPF, defect. Glow plug malfunction. When starting the engine on a frosty morning and with several glow plugs not working, there will also be problems, first seconds after starting. If the engine ticks on cold with a smoky exhaust, but on hot does not tick, does not stall and pulls well, most likely you will have to replace several, maybe only one, glow plugs. On diesels equipped with a check tab, it is worth considering that not every malfunction lights up the check engine warning light. But in the case of unstable operation of the motor, burning check signals the need to read error codes. Gasoline engine with direct fuel injection injector, from the English injector, which means injection or blowing. If the check light comes on when the injector trots, the diagnosis will most likely show the detection of ignition misses, not the reasons that cause them. So don't get your hopes up. You do not need to be a good diagnostician to determine from the sound of exhaust on hot, from what the check in this case. It will not help to determine what is caused by the fact that the injector works with skips. Signal lamp, the so-called check with a high probability, will help if some sensor is defective. Reasons why the injector trots, faulty spark plug. Since the spark plug doesn't ignite the working mixture every time, it's unlikely to be wet or black from soot. In this case, look for a breakdown mark on the insulator of the center electrode. It looks like a stripe drawn with a simple pencil along the insulator. Be sure to check the gap between the plug contacts, because the gap not corresponding to the norm can also cause cylinder malfunctions and cause the engine to jerk, pull badly and even stall when hot as well as when not warmed up. Faulty injector. By removing the connectors from the injectors while the engine is running. This way you can determine which cylinder is not working, but it may not work not only because of the injector. Swap it with the injector of the other cylinder. If the cylinder where you put it now won't run, then it has failed. Improper fuel level adjustment. Loss of tightness of the float from what the carburetor will overflow. The mechanism may have a defect in the needle valve. Too tight gasoline pump spring. The carburetor will overflow because the needle valve cannot handle too much fuel pressure. The gasket between the gasoline pump and the heat insulating spacer is too thin. The pump will also produce too high pressure, which will cause the carburetor to overfill. The average check for the elimination of such a fault is very inexpensive. Therefore, not every workshop will deal with it. The lower the average repair bill is, the more likely it is that you will have to deal with it yourself. The carburetor itself may not be the culprit for the engine jerking and stalling. But this does not mean that the carburetor can be excluded from the list of possible causes. The most typical causes of unstable engine operation. Frequent causes of unstable engine operation: reduced compression in one of the cylinders, below 10 kg per centimeter. 2. Rupture of the brake vacuum booster diaphragm. To diagnose, pull the hose tip out of the rubber adapter in the vacuum housing and plug it with your finger. If the engine stoppage stops, the culprit has been found. If not, inspect the hose. It should not be stiff, and it should not have cracks. Otherwise, it could be the culprit of air intake. To check this, remove the hose from the intake manifold and plug the hole in the connector with your finger. If the engine runs smoothly, you will just have to replace the hose. Sucking air into the intake manifold greatly depletes the fuel-air mixture. This causes the engine to run erratically. This particularly affects the operation of the cylinders furthest from the carburetor, the fourth and third cylinders. Insufficient spark output. The spark can be visually evaluated as follows. Remove the high-voltage wire from the ignition coil from the socket in the trampola cover. Fix the removed end 5 mm from the mass. Crank the engine with the starter. The spark that pierces this gap should be blue in color and thick. A thin reddish-colored spark is usually not powerful enough and may be the cause of unstable engine operation. The cause of insufficient spark power may be too large or small gap between the contacts of the breaker or burned contacts, as well as oxidized coil power terminal, poor contact of its body with the mass and defects in its resistor. Wear bearing tremolo as a result of which the advance of ignition depending on the discharge behind the throttle will not change smoothly, and jumps in addition to the value of the gap between the contacts of the breaker will also change during the operation of the engine, which also does not contribute to smooth operation. Defective spark plug. Ignition misses, as a rule, are due to a breakdown of the insulator of the center electrode. The trace of this breakdown looks like a light-colored dash along the insulator. This fault can only be rectified by replacing the plug. Correct injector atomization. Why the engine may be ticking. In conclusion, if your engine is ticking and your car is jerking, it's crucial to address these symptoms promptly. As we've discussed, various issues such as faulty spark plugs, low oil levels, or problems with the fuel system can lead to these frustrating experiences. By understanding the potential causes, you can take the necessary steps to diagnose and resolve the problem, ensuring a smoother and safer ride. Always consult a professional mechanic for a thorough inspection and repair. Thank you for watching, and drive safely.